There was a time when you had to jostle at the airport just to buy a $6 bottle of water. Now you can have a picnic at the airport gate because there's no one there. Welcome to Post-Tourism America 2025, where booking services are struggling, tourism service employees are unemployed, and companies that once thrived on foreign visitors are now surviving by magic. International tourist arrivals decreased by more than 30%. Tourism revenue lost nearly $200 billion in just 18 months. And the irony is, the companies that once smiled when customers rolled in with their suitcases are now silently crying when the suitcases no longer appear. From airport restaurant chains to technology companies serving the travel industry, they are not just losing money, they are on the brink of disappearing. Tourists are not coming, planes are not flying, but bills, salaries, taxes, loans still come in regularly like clockwork. In this video, we will take a look at the top 10 American companies facing the risk of decline as the tourism industry collapses. Empty airports. This is not just a business matter, but a worrying picture of an America losing its appeal. A small note is that the video reflects social reality based on public data, not aimed at attacking any event or organization. Starting with the first company, once present in every major airport, but now no longer even has a single advertisement. Do you remember the last time you searched for travel to the US on Expedia? Perhaps it has been a long time, and you are not the only one. Once the world's largest platform for booking flights, hotels, and all-inclusive tours, Expedia Group, with brands like Expedia.com, Hotels.com, VRBO, and Travelocity, has helped millions of international travelers plan their dream vacations in the US. From a trip to Disney World in Florida to a 4-star hotel on the Las Vegas Strip, Expedia helps every journey begin. But now, something has changed so quickly that even Expedia couldn't keep up. According to Bloomberg, in just 2025, search volumes related to travel to the US, such as cheap hotels in New York, vacation packages USA, or family travel to Los Angeles, have decreased by up to 40% from key markets like Canada, Germany, and Japan. Meanwhile, destinations like Portugal, Thailand, Canada, and Greece are quickly rising not only because they are cheaper, but also because they are more comfortable. The United States, once the dream destination for countless international families, is gradually being pushed off the priority list. A travel agent in Tokyo shared, "In the past, every group of tourists mentioned the United States. Now they talk about finding a place that is safer, more comfortable, and less stressful. The US is no longer the obvious choice." At the same time, hotel and inn partners on Expedia are pulling back from advertising, cancelling promotional campaigns because the booking volume in the US is no longer sufficient to cover the cost of running the campaigns. Even VRBO, the platform that once attracted families for long-term bookings, has seen double-digit revenue declines in cities like Orlando, San Francisco, and New York. Why is that? Perhaps partly due to the cost. A trip to the US is now more expensive and complicated, from visas and security checks to living costs. But there is another reason that few people mention: the feeling of being an outsider. The reason is not just the high cost of traveling to the US. It also lies in the experience. Visas are harder to obtain, tighter security checks, fear about the level of safety. And perhaps the greatest loss is not the number of bookings, but the friendly, warm feeling that once made international travelers want to return many times. Expedia now has to pivot. Instead of promoting hotels in Chicago or flights to Miami, they are increasing their budget for travel insurance in Europe, affordable resorts in Asia, and vacation packages in Portugal, Vietnam, and Mexico, where people still want to experience a true vacation. If even the largest platforms can't sell America to the world, then who can? Perhaps the problem does not lie with Expedia, but rather in the image of America in the eyes of those who once longed for a trip not just to take photos, but to feel a dream. Have you ever opened the Uber app at a major airport in the US? In previous years, you just had to book, and a car would be there. Now, you can stand waiting for 10 minutes, but no one comes anymore. Where have all the drivers gone? Uber is not just a convenient ride-hailing app for Americans. For international travelers, it used to be the right-hand assistant, pick up and drop off from the airport, travel to the hotel, restaurant, explore the city without needing to rent a car. But in 2025, those yellow rides are disappearing. According to data from the US Travel Association and internal Uber sources, the number of airport pickups from international travelers at major airports like LAX, JFK, and SFO has decreased by more than 35% compared to the same period in 2023. Uber drivers in major tourist cities seem to be facing a silent crisis. A driver in Orlando recounted, "I used to pick up German and Canadian passengers every week. They book an Uber as soon as they pick up their luggage. Now it's been a month and no one has shown up." This is no longer a small story, but is showing signs of spreading further. Because international tourists are the highest value segment. They book longer rides, pay higher fares during peak hours, and rarely compare prices like domestic users do. So, what's happening? The airport is empty. The tourist zone is empty. Concerns about urban safety in the US are increasing, especially among European and Asian tourists. Many people choose to walk in the city center or only move within the hotel instead of calling a car to go far, which means Uber loses millions of dollars in potential revenue. Meanwhile, the number of drivers has increased, as many unemployed people have turned to ride-sharing to survive. What is the result? Many drivers, few passengers. Prices increase. The remaining customers are also hesitant. Uber had to launch a series of promotions, discounts, and bonuses, but this only further eroded their profit margins. From the consumer side, many people have reported that the Uber app is no longer opened as frequently as before. Some tourists are now turning to other services like Lyft, fixed-rate taxis, or even not leaving the resort because they don't feel safe enough to wander and explore as before. And don't forget, Uber is not just about transportation. They also have Uber Eats, a service that used to thrive in hotels and tourist areas. But now, when there are no more tourists ordering room service, the sales in this sector are also gradually declining. From a smart mobility platform, Uber is now experiencing a difficult paradox. The more drivers there are, the fewer customers there are. The more bonuses, the less profit. The fewer tourists there are, the less reason there is for large tourist cities to exist. If you go to a new city and can't call an Uber like before, do you still feel that America is as convenient as it used to be? What mode of transportation would you choose when moving around in a place that is both unfamiliar and expensive, yet no longer friendly? Please share your thoughts, because the travel story is not just a journey, but also a mirror reflecting the perception of a country. And when Uber is no longer a reliable choice, is there any name left that is trustworthy? Stay tuned for the next part, and you'll see that even the once leading booking platform is now quietly withdrawing from the United States. Every year, hundreds of millions of people around the world open the Booking.com, Priceline, or Agoda app to book their next vacation. But in 2025, something strange is happening. They are still searching, but no longer choosing the United States. Booking Holdings, the name behind a series of global travel platforms that once served as the main bridge between international travelers and hotels in New York, San Francisco, Orlando, or Los Angeles. But from the beginning of 2025, everything is changing direction, and not in the way America desires. According to data from eMarketer and industry insiders, Booking Holdings' international advertising budget for destinations in the US has decreased by more than 50%, shifting focus to regions such as Asia-Pacific, Southern Europe, especially Portugal, Greece, Croatia, South America, where costs are low and experiences are rich in local culture. What about the United States? No longer on the list of top trending destinations by Booking this year. Why are the big names turning their backs? It's not because they no longer like America, but because user behavior data has changed. Search keywords like affordable resorts in Thailand, family hotels in Portugal, or safe vacation ideas for 2025 are on the rise. As for terms like cheap hotels in LA or New York vacation deal, they have significantly dropped in ranking. something never seen before. An international travel media expert shared, "When users no longer search for the US, smart platforms like Booking will automatically shift. They are not abandoning the US, they are just following the customers." Economically, this has a chain reaction. Many American hotels that used to spend heavily on booking advertisements are now cutting their budgets. Partner hotels complain about low revenue and request a reduction in commission fees. Users open the Booking app, but no one is searching for the keyword vacation in America anymore. From the perspective of user behavior, this is more concerning than we thought. Once tourists become accustomed to booking experiences elsewhere, with better prices, easier visa procedures, and a greater sense of safety, they will find it hard to return to the United States, even when everything is back to normal. The last time you searched for a room on Booking.com, which destination did you choose? Does America still remain on your wish list? Or have you quietly moved to somewhere less chaotic, more comfortable, and where you feel more welcomed? Because in the travel world of 2025, there is no default position, even the United States. And if the booking platforms no longer bring international guests to the United States, what will happen to the hotels, resorts, and airlines that once relied on them? Next, let's turn to American Airlines, where empty seats on international flights are no longer a technical glitch, but a warning of an era that is fading away. A flight from Tokyo to Los Angeles used to be a symbol of global connectivity. Business class seats fully booked, check-in counters crowded, and now, those luxurious chairs are flying in silence. American Airlines, an airline once considered the backbone of international travel to the US, is facing a strange reality. International flights are gradually losing passengers, even though the routes are still in place. According to the IATA report and the airline's internal data, a series of long-haul routes from key countries such as Canada, Germany, Japan, and France are being reduced in frequency or consolidated. An international check-in agent at LAX airport shared, "I have been working here for 9 years. In the past, Japanese, Korean, and German passengers would check in up to 3 hours early, forming long lines. Now, I can stand all morning just handling a few international guests." The issue is not with the number of flights, but with the type of customers who are disappearing. Business class passengers, who account for the largest share of profits, are choosing to stay home or fly with other airlines. Singapore Airlines, Emirates, Lufthansa, ANA have recorded an increase in bookings from departure points not flying to the US, but heading towards Europe, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East. Why is that? Perhaps it's because the flying experience is no longer what it used to be. The US visa remains an obstacle, with a lengthy process and a high rejection rate. Many travelers say they no longer want the stress from the moment they book their tickets. International ticket prices are higher, while the amenities have not been upgraded accordingly. The feeling of being scrutinized and uncomfortable when passing through customs is causing travelers who were once loyal to the US to gradually change their flying habits. Moreover, frequent flyer programs like AAdvantage, which once retained business travelers, are now losing their appeal. Many customers are switching to more diverse loyalty programs offered by competitors, using them to book hotels in Europe, purchase vacation packages in Bali or the Maldives, places that are gaining popularity on Booking.com and Agoda. American Airlines is maintaining its fleet, keeping its routes, and even its promotional campaigns. But the world no longer maintains the habit of booking flights to the US. Once trust and convenience are no longer companions on the journey, even a first-class ticket won't be enough to bring customers back. Which airline did you choose for your most recent international trip? If you had to choose between a pleasant experience or a destination full of obstacles, what would you choose? In the post-pandemic world, sometimes what keeps tourists coming back is no longer promotions, but the feeling of being welcomed right from check-in. And if the planes that once carried millions of tourists to the US are now taking off with empty cabins, what is happening on the ground, where luxury hotels once relied on a stream of high-end international guests? Next, let's take a look at Marriott, where the once fully booked expensive rooms now have to lower their prices and still remain empty. At the JW Marriott Hotel in San Francisco, a row of rooms overlooking the city center has always been the most expensive choice. But this year, for 4 consecutive months, 40% of those rooms have remained unoccupied. Many rooms that used to be fully booked for 6 months are now gradually becoming empty spaces with drawn curtains. Hundreds of servers, receptionists, chefs are having to work on hold or losing their jobs, as loyal customers no longer come. Why are the rooms that used to be booked a year in advance now empty? Visa is hard to obtain. Room rates have increased, but without any accompanying perks. Travel, dining, and service costs, all higher compared to a vacation in Europe or Southeast Asia. And more importantly, the sense of belonging is gone. Some travelers shared that they felt monitored, scrutinized, or questioned right from the moment of check-in. Additionally, consumer behavior has changed. International travelers are not giving up on travel. They are just switching to other experiences that are cheaper, cozier, and friendlier. Places where every greeting is sincere, every experience is authentic, and every dollar spent brings emotional value, not just a night in a luxury room. Marriott is responding by lowering prices, cancelling conference packages, and delaying room upgrades. But what they cannot control is the widening gap between America and the world. From a place that was once a welcoming gateway to the world, the Marriott hotels in major cities are now starting to resemble an unvisited museum. Everything is still beautiful, still expensive, but no one stands there to feel it anymore. When traveling abroad, where do you choose to stay? A big chain hotel, or somewhere that makes you feel more familiar and comfortable? Have you ever felt out of place in a 5-star hotel that was supposed to provide comfort? Sometimes the experience doesn't come from the expensive bed or the buffet breakfast, but from the welcoming gaze, from the kindness in every small action. And if even the hotels that were once dream destinations can no longer keep tourists, then what will happen to places like Las Vegas, which thrive on entertainment and glamour when the stage lights begin to fade? Join us for the next part, as Las Vegas gradually turns into a glittering empty shell. Caesars Entertainment and MGM Resorts, 2 renowned names on the Las Vegas Strip, used to welcome over 4 million international tourists each year. Visitors from Canada, Germany, the UK, and Japan come not only to gamble at the casino, but also to enjoy world-class performances. But now, according to data from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the number of international visitors to Las Vegas has decreased by more than 65% in 2025. Many charter flights from Europe have been cancelled. The once coveted VIP experience packages are no longer mentioned. Entertainment revenue in Vegas has dropped by 38% compared to the same period in 2023. Caesars and MGM have had to suspend midweek performances, cut back on restaurant, bar, and spa services, close early some areas of the casino that used to operate 24/7. Even with deep discounts on room rates, 60% off show tickets, and stay-and-play combos being promoted everywhere, international tourists still do not return. Because for them, Las Vegas is no longer a must-visit destination once in a lifetime. Instead, people are searching for keywords like luxury entertainment in Dubai, trying him kingi Antoine o Chao O, Catchboy Bio Dien Van Hua o Jongnam A. International entertainment consumption has shifted, and Vegas is no longer at the center of that map. Do you remember your first time in Las Vegas? Or have you ever dreamed of stepping foot there? If you had the chance now, would you choose to go to Vegas again? Or would you choose another place, where you not only get entertained, but also feel truly welcomed? And if even Las Vegas, the world's insomniac consumer symbol, is gradually sinking into silence, then what is happening to the very airlines that used to bring tourists there? Let's move on to the next part. Delta Airlines. When once profitable international routes have now become burdens, and the largest airports in the United States have become eerily quiet. From Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world, flights that once connected the United States with London, Paris, Tokyo, Seoul, now so quiet that many boarding gates have turned off their lights since the afternoon. Delta Airlines, once one of the world's leading airlines with a network covering all 6 continents, is gradually retracting, not by choice, but because no one needs it anymore. In 2025, Delta was forced to reduce the frequency on flight routes, suspend or convert international flights. The wide-body aircraft, originally used for long-haul international flights, are now being redirected by Delta to serve domestic routes where demand is insufficient to cover costs. But this is not a long-term strategy. It is a measure taken when the business class cabins are nearly half empty. In addition, international passengers, especially business travelers and high-end customers, are choosing new travel hubs like Dubai, Lisbon, Seoul, or Doha as layover points. Costs are rising, but the perceived value is no longer commensurate. Many people share that they do not want to be questioned too thoroughly at US security checkpoints, or get stuck with visa issues, so they choose to travel to Europe or Asia where the processes are more pleasant. Delta, once a representative of the modern American aviation spirit, is now retracting, one flight at a time. Not because of operational faults, but because the world is quietly avoiding a destination that was once the center of the aviation map. If you fly internationally next year, which route will you choose? Do you feel that the United States, with its complex procedures, high ticket prices, and anxious mentality, is still worth returning to? Once the epitome of the American vacation dream, from beach weddings in Hawaii to 5-star stays in New York, Hilton was where international travelers sought luxury and left with beautiful memories. But in 2025, what remains the most are the vacant rooms. Hilton Hawaiian Village in Honolulu, once a dream destination for honeymooners, is now reducing its room capacity by more than 45% during the peak season. In New York, the Hilton Midtown Hotel has cut nearly 1/3 of its front desk staff in the first quarter. When international guests disappeared, Hilton lost the entire accompanying revenue stream: weddings and conferences, high-end spa services, in-house restaurant and bar, transportation services, local experiences. An ecological chain that once operated smoothly now has to function at half capacity or stop altogether. Hilton Jan Chitieu Hang Trio, Jo La Mi Je Kwang Kao Gyak Modulich, O Mai Thong Kwa Kach Goi Kombon Hu, Hilton Escape USA. Goi Jam Kwoi Lang Mano Hawaii. But those campaigns no longer work, not because of a lack of incentives, but because there are fewer people who believe that America is still a dream destination. Hilton is not wrong. They still maintain their prestige, still upgrade their services. But in a post-pandemic world, travelers' trust is no longer tied to brands, but to experiences. And that feeling, for many people, is drifting away from America. Hilton Jan Chitieu Hang Trio, Jo La Mi Je Kwang Kao Gyak Modulich, O Mai Thong Kwa Kach Goi Kombon Hu, Hilton Escape USA. Goi Jam Kwoi Lang Mano Hawaii. But those campaigns no longer work, not because of a lack of incentives, but because there are fewer people who believe that America is still a dream destination. Hilton is not wrong. They still maintain their prestige, still upgrade their services. But in a post-pandemic world, travelers' trust is no longer tied to brands, but to experiences. And that feeling, for many people, is drifting away from America. It is precisely the flexibility, once a strong point that made Airbnb boom, that has now become a drawback in the eyes of international guests who need a sense of support, protection, and a warm welcome, not a cold lock code and security cameras at the door. Airbnb has tried to respond by tightening regulations, increasing cleaning fees, and enhancing account verification. But these measures have made many guests feel that it is no longer the old Airbnb, no longer comfortable, friendly, and free like before. Are you still willing to stay at Airbnb when traveling internationally? What you need is affordability, freedom, or trust, and a sense of safety for each night's stay. Share your choice, because in the post-pandemic world, the lodging experience is not just where you sleep, but where you feel, I belong here. And if even the houses that were once as cozy as home no longer attract international visitors, then what awaits Disney? Once a childhood paradise, once a place the whole world dreamed of visiting at least once in their lifetime. Disney is not just a company. It is a childhood memory. It is a miracle. It is a place where millions of families around the world once dreamed of visiting once in their lifetime, even if it meant saving for an entire year. But in 2025, the park remains open. The music still plays. It's just that international tourists no longer come. According to reports from Theme Park Insider and the US Travel Association, the number of international visitors to Disney World in Florida and Disneyland in California has decreased by more than 50% compared to pre-pandemic levels. Countries that were once major sources of visitors are now turning to other destinations. So what is causing Disney, a global icon, to see a decline in visitors in its own homeland? It's not because Mickey Mouse is no longer appealing, not because the games aren't interesting enough, but because of the location, the United States, which is becoming a psychological barrier for millions of families around the world. They are concerned. The US visa is hard to obtain and requires a lot of paperwork. The cost of a trip to the US, airfare, hotel, park tickets, is much higher than other options. News of unrest has made the Disney magic incomplete in the US. Disney remains a global icon, but its version of the American dream is being rejected by the world. Not because the brand is weakening, but because the belief in the destination, America, has changed. And what is the consequence? Revenue from international tickets has plummeted. Bookings for on-site hotels like the Grand Floridian or Disney's Contemporary Resort have dropped by nearly 40% in room capacity. Spending at souvenir shops and dining services has sharply decreased. Disney has had to temporarily postpone some park expansion projects in the US, redirecting investment to international markets. If you could take your children and grandchildren to a Disney amusement park, would you choose to go to the US or somewhere else, where you don't have to worry about visas, costs, or scrutinizing looks at the airport? 10 major companies, from hotels to airlines, from apps to global icons, are struggling in the silence of the world. No war, no ban, just suitcases no longer packed for a trip to America. Travel is not just about the economy, it is a cultural bridge. It is the way the world comes to understand you. But if the world no longer wants to come, are you sure you are still being heard? Have you ever dreamed of going to America? If you had to choose again today, where would you go? Leave a comment, because it might be small stories like yours that help America understand what the world needs to come back. If you find the analysis in today's video valuable, please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Each of your subscriptions not only helps the channel grow, but also motivates us to continue delivering in-depth, emotionally rich, and multifaceted content about America and the world. All information in the video is compiled from public sources, industry reports, and reputable data platforms. This video is created for the purpose of providing educational information and analysis, not to attack any individual, organization, or country. We do not represent the brands mentioned and do not provide financial or consumer recommendations. The audience is encouraged to check additional information before making any decisions. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. See you in the next journeys, where each story is a moment of reflection, contemplation, and connection.